Muy buenas tardes. Hoy hemos conocido el dato del PMI manufacturero en Estados Unidos del mes de noviembre. Ha mostrado una contracción, aunque menos fuerte de lo esperado. El PMI manufacturero sube hasta el 48,4 desde el 46,5 anterior. Así que vamos a comentar estos datos justamente con alguien del equipo de ISM. Timothy Fiore is ISM Manufacturing Business Survey, the committee chair. Hello.
Yes, hello, Pedro. Thanks for having me.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I was saying that the PMI data of November shows contraction, but less than the expected. What can you tell us about this data about today?
Yes, correct. We beat the forecast by about a point, and it's a little bit of a surprise that we came back at a 48.4 so quickly, but I'll take it. So, I mean, the first thing is our demand, as reflected by the new order number, broke the 50 line for the first time in about 7 months, which is good. But I think the bigger story here is that on the employment side, we're starting to reduce the amount of people that we're releasing, which means that we've either hit our goals or we're revising our goals to have a higher head count in the future. And then our inventory number, manufacturing inventory number, actually came up to close to 50, 48 and some change, which is a bit of a surprise. There's really no reason for that account to go up unless people have decided that the risk of taking more inventory is a lot less than what it was before. And I think that's probably the argument, that companies are now willing to invest more in working capital in preparation for Q1 of next year. And I think the last thing here on our prices number, we're very stable at a 50 and some change. So hopefully we'll stay there for a while. But you know, I think everything is saying that we're accommodative here, that we're actually starting a grow out period. The one surprise of the 5 sub-indexes that make up the PMI was the supplier delivery number actually contracting at a 48.7, which means they're delivering faster. I think that's really a reflection of the fact that we were dealing with hurricanes last month and port shutdowns, and we had transportation disruptions, and those cleared up in November. So if that hadn't happened, that supplier delivery number coming in at 52 or 53 would have added another point to our PMI number, would have got us in the mid 49s. So Pedro, I think the summary here is that we're looking at finally getting into expansion again in Q1 of next year, and most likely it's going to be by February. It could even be January. The reason I'm saying it may not be January is we have a lot of seasonal factors that come into play in January, and it's a bit of a confusing month. But overall, this report is very good. It reflects the rate reduction profile that the Fed is on. It reflects a Republican administration coming into the U.S. It probably reflects the fact that individual tax reductions will stay in place, which is very positive. And you know, with the announcements from the Republicans that they're going to really attack the regulatory burdens, that's absolutely positive for industry. So it's a good report, Pedro.
It's a good report, okay, but we are looking for growth, you have said. When do you think we are going to have positive numbers in the PMI?
Well, I think by February. You know, I think we'll see that by February. It could even be January. It's possible December, but December is not a strong manufacturing month, and I don't see much things changing. The seasonal factors may help that. They probably will. But you know, I think we're finally entering a growth profile. Our sentiment around demand is at 1 to 1. So for every 2 people that gave me comments, one of them was very positive. The other one was a little bit more conservative. That's an improvement. We haven't seen that level of positivity since May, June. And in the May-June timeframe, it was on a declining scale. So we were much more positive before May and June. And we actually went into a contraction period from a sentiment standpoint in June, July. So I think we're on the beginning of a rollout here. It's very early, remains to be seen. I mean, we talked last month about the potential for inflation coming back. I think that's definitely true. But the business panelists have basically said that, hey, we'll deal with that when it happens. In the meantime, it appears that we're spurring demand. We need demand to come back. We have to fill our order books. And if inflation comes as a result of this, then we'll deal with it when it happens.
And so what are your expectations about this 2025 from this year?
Well, I would think that you know, future President Trump is going to try to replicate what he did the last time in 2017 through 2019. We had a nice grow out. It was a high quality grow out. We remained at high PMI numbers, a little bit less than 60, but 58 to 60 for at least a year in the 2018, early 2019 period. So my guess is they're going to try to do the same thing. There's a lot of other things that are coming into play here, a little bit more aggressive on the tariff side. We'll see how all that plays out, not only from the tariffs that we would put on, but also counter tariffs. At this point, I think it's really just a statement that we want to renegotiate our relationships with our international partners, and we want their full attention. And I think that's why you're seeing such large numbers and such aggressive statements early on before he's even taken the office. But I think we're in a pretty good period here. We can finally see ourselves to growth. And I think, I probably had this conversation with your listeners before that I'm not sure why 2025 would be a strong growth period. Well, I think the sentiment is changing a bit here, and that is that, we're probably looking at a 2 to 2.5% GDP goal for 2025, which is definitely strong and very consistent with where we are this year. But, it's compounded, so it's actually growing in 2025 from 2024. So I think from the business community standpoint, we're in a great place.
These are good news to this year. Thank you very much, Timothy Fiore. He is a manufacturing business survey committee chair. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Pedro.
Y ahora nos quedamos seguimos con el cierre de las bolsas europeas.